Tasya of Brahma, Rupam, form, Abhut, became manifested, Dveda, twofold, Yat, which is Kayam, his body, Abhichakshate, is said to be. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada, His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation: while he was thus absorbed in the contemplation and was observing the supernatural power, two other forms were generated from his body. They are still celebrated as the body of Brahma. Purport: two bodies came out from the body of Brahma. One had a mustache and the other one had swollen breasts. No one can explain the source of their manifestation, and therefore, until today, they are known as the Kayam, or the body of Brahma, with no indication of their relationship as his son or daughter. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupah Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapadakammalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Khanta Radha Khanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubheschi Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Dvaita Gadadhar Shivashadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 12, texts 48, text 49 to 52, these 4 verses. Yeah, because the verses which we have or doesn't have a lot of purport, so just translations. That's why we're covering these 4 verses today. Brahmaji, the verse 49 says, Tato param upadaya sasargaya manodhade, meaning Brahma accepted another body in which sex life was not forbidden, and thus he engaged himself in the matter of further creation. Right? So Lord Brahma created different varieties of fire sacrifices, created 4 legs of religion and 4 orders of life and classification of the caste systems. He was doing all these activities in the last few verses, and he created 4 divisions of retired life, names of the 4 divisions, everything is given. Art of literary expressions, different type of alphabets, meters of hymns, and so on and so forth. He was in creating a lot of things, right? In the last verse, like 48th verse, explains that Brahma is the personal representation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead as a source of transcendental sound, and is therefore above the conception of manifested and unmanifested. And the second line in that translation quotes that Brahma is the complete form of the absolute truth and is invested with multifarious energies. So Brahma is a form of the Lord, and that's why he was invested with multifarious energies to create. So that's why he could create so many things. He was continually creating different elements that were required for this material world. And now the thing comes in, then he saw that the progeny was not progressing the way he thought it should progress. Then he took up he gave up the body. So the word here is, thereafter Brahma accepted another body in which the sex life is not forbidden. Okay, so I'm looking for the word. So tato param upadaya sasargaya manodhade. So in the matter of creation, mind, so that they gave attention. So he wanted to he took another body. So what does it mean by taking another body? in this Brahma's case, Lord Brahmaji already has gave up the body in one of the previous verses. When in the episode of walk, he gave up the body also. So what does it mean by that? Like the meaning of this we can get from Canto 3, Chapter 20, Text 28, right? In that text, so vadarasya karpayam vivikthadyatma darshanaha vimunchatma tanum ghoram iti yukto vimumochaha. So that verse was spoken by Lord to Brahmaji. And he's saying that from your body, this is from chapter 20 of Canto 3. So I'm just referring here. So Brahmaji, from the Brahmaji, there were demons were created from his Brahmaji's body. Then Lord said, and they started attacking Brahmaji. And Lord, when Brahmaji approached Lord to protect him, then Lord said, told him, give up this body or cast away this body. So Lord is defined here as Viviktadhyatma Darshanaha. So because God, so Viviktadhyatma Darshanaha means the one who can see the minds of others. So that is Lord's names are coined according to his qualities. So God or the Lord can read the minds of others to the depth. So that's why he was called as Viviktadhyatma Darshanaha. So that's why he understood the pain or the suffering Brahmaji was going through after creating these demons, and he suggested him Vimunchatma Thanum Goram. This body which you have is not that is Ghoram. Like it's not produced the result what you wanted. So just give up this or cast away this body or cast off this body. So this is another time where the Brahmaji cast away this body. So now the question comes in. So does that mean that Brahmaji is really like, does it mean that the Brahmaji goes away, his body is gone, and another Brahma comes up? Something like that? No. Acharyas and Srila Prabhupada mentions in that same verse purport, he mentions that Sridhara Swami's reference, he refers to Sridhara Swami's Tika, and Sridhara Swami mentions that here basically when Brahmaji is giving up his body means Brahmaji is that mentality or that thinking of him was cast away. He was moved out of that thinking and he went to the another thinking, like he has asked to do something else. So whenever Brahmaji changes his thinking process, he stops it there and moves to a new process that is called as casting of his body. So in the today's verse also, Brahmaji was continuously doing all these activities. He was doing many things. We have seen that, or we have read through that. So he was creating religion, he was creating caste system, he was creating the literary expressions, he was creating the alphabets. For all this creation, he didn't have to have sexual desire for that, or sexual tendency to have, or sexual life was not required, or in that case. But because Brahmaji was started to have, or he wanted to have a thinking of progeny, Brahmaji has taken up that in the mind. So he changed the process which was not process for which the sex was not required. He just stopped that process and he just started thinking, or he cast away his body in the sense he has started thinking about creating the progeny, where the thinking of sex life is not prohibited or not forbidden. So that is the meaning here. That's what Sridhara Swami explains. So whenever we have questions like this, what we do is like we'll approach acharyas, right? Now, what is Brahmaji? Why Brahmaji is giving up his body? So in that case, we approach when the question comes up, when we don't understand the things. This is a system. We have to go back and approach the acharyas and see what they are saying and why. And they have given a lot of tikas, lot of translations are being provided. And Sridhara Swami is authenticated. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu mentioned that the authentic translation of Srimad Bhagavatam is done by Sridhara Swami. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has approved Sridhara Swami as a authentic source of Srimad Bhagavatam, translation of Srimad Bhagavatam. So we can follow that instruction here. So that's where when we say Brahmaji has given up his body, tato param upadhyaya sasargaya manodhade, that means in his he has accepted another body, so sargaya, in the matter of creation. So he took a body. So verse 49 means when he changed the body, he changed his mindset. He changed his mindset to have the progeny. And the verse 50, when we go here, Rishinam bhuri viryanam api sargam avastritam Gnatva tadritaye bhuyas chintaya masha kaurava. O son of the Kurus, when Brahma saw that in spite of the presence of sages of great potency, there was no sufficient increase in population, he seriously began to consider how the population could be increased. So he has created all those rishis, right? 10 of them, 9 plus 1. So nothing was, the population was not being expanding or generating as he thought. So then this verse 51 says, Aho adbhutam etan me vipasritya Vepritasyapi nityada nahi edante prajanunam devamatra vigatakam. Brahma thought to himself, alas, it is wonderful that in spite of my being scattered all around, all over, there is still insufficient population throughout the universe. So whenever we have a problem, what we do? We approach or we think about the Lord. So there is no other cause for this misfortune but destiny. That is what Brahmaji is thinking. He's thinking that I have scattered all around the, scattered all over. What does it mean by scattered all over? So he has scattered all over this universe. He has created everything. He has created his sons, and he has scattered in the form of his sons, but still there is still insufficient population, right? So when he was thinking like that and he was contemplating, the next verse says that evam yukta kritastasya dhaivam chavekshastada kashya rupam abudveda yat khayam abhikshashate. When he was contemplating or absorbed in that contemplation and was observing the supernatural power, 2 other forms were generated from his body. So when Brahmaji was contemplating and thinking, feeling dissatisfied, deficient, he was not happy with the creation of the spreading of the population, then the Lord intervenes, and from his body 2 forms came out. So what are those forms? It clearly explains that they are still the 2 forms were generated from his body. They're still celebrated as body of Brahma because their 2 forms came out. So Srila Prabhupada in the translation of Prabhupada, he mentions that 2 bodies came out with no indication of their relationship as a son or daughter. So there is no indication, the form which came with the mustache is a son, the form with the swollen breasts is a female form, not like that. So they are just female form as son and daughter. No, it's not like that. So our acharyas and Vaishnavas mentions, how is this possible? Has it ever happened before? So if you go back and check, the couples manifest whenever the Lord intervenes. Like for example, King Vena was King Vena died, and from his body Brahmanas churned his thighs. So when he churned his thighs, 2 forms came: Maharaj Prithu, King Prithu, and Archi. So Prithu is the form of Vishnu himself, and Archi is Lakshmi Devi. So when they came together from the body of King Vena. So that doesn't mean that they're brother and sister. They're not siblings. They are the forms they directly came. So that is one example. And in the similar way, Akuti married to King Ruchi. So we will get to know all these things in the next few chapters only. So Akuti married to Ruchi, and they got Yagna and Dakshina as children. Yagna, from them, Yagna and Dakshina were formed. They came out. So Yagna and Dakshina, they are the wife and husband. Okay. So in the similar way, when Lord is intervened, or when Lord gives that empowerment to form these two bodies, which are, we'll get to know in the next couple of verses, that these two bodies are Swayambhuva Manu and Satrupa. So these are the two forms. They are wife and husband. So Swayambhu Manu is the first progeny, and he becomes the he starts generating the population. Okay, so that is one thing I want to mention. Now, regarding the giving up of the body, Brahmaji giving up of the body, Srila Prabhupada quotes in one of the purports, in the similar, like there are multiple times Brahmaji gives up his body. Prabhupada quotes that it is in the purports, one of the purports he mentions that when bodies, the changing of the body of Brahma is same as changing his mindset. He's not that new Brahma comes in. It's just a sign changing his mindset of the process that going through. So it happened same thing when the walk in the episode of the walk, Brahmaji got distracted at that point of time also. It says that Brahmaji gave up that body. Okay, that means he gave up that mindset and he started thinking of the future, right? Thinking of what to do next, or thinking of the next steps. So for that example, Srila Prabhupada mentions that Gruhasthas, they do a Garbhadan Sanskara. Garbhadan Sanskara means basically you follow a system where you have a regular Grihastha has a regular mindset before to regular mindset, like, work life, whatever, family life and everything. But to attract a devotee, a child, or to attract a soul of a devotee as their children or child, devotees perform a Garbhadan Sanskara. So they follow through a different process. There is a process or a set of procedure to attract the devotee child. So let's say they chant 50 rounds of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and also they take the blessings of devotees. And there is so many things, like, not so many things, few things they follow. So Srila Prabhupada mentions that by following that Garbhadan Sanskara, the devotee who are the devotees, or that couple devotees, what they're doing is they're trying to have a mindset of they're setting a mindset of a devotional service, or a bhakti mindset. So in that bhakti mindset, you can attract the souls, the pious souls, right? Similarly, like, it's an example which Prabhupada provided. Similarly, as Brahmaji was having some mindset, he was going through different creations, but to perform a next step, his mindset was changed. So this is an example Srila Prabhupada mentions. The Garbhadan Sanskara, as a devotee, he may have some other activities, daily activities he was performing, but to attract the pious soul, his mindset is changed, and he completely involve, or he completely transform his thinking into the devotional service. Then he can attract a pious soul. So that is one example I want to say. And I was going through the series of sequences that happened in this chapter, where Brahmaji was in the beginning, he created ignorance to sustain this material world. So with that, he was dissatisfied. He's not happy. Then he went into meditation, and with the mercy of the Lord, then he created Kumaras. When he created Kumaras and asked them to do to create progeny, then Kumaras didn't accept that proposal, and he was disrespected, right? Rudra was then he created, from that anger Rudra came, and Rudra started creating progeny, and that progeny was so much destructive, so he got disturbed, and with the episode of walk, he got distracted from his services, and then he saw the deficiency. So Krishna in the Lord in the verse 3943, Canto 9, Canto 3, Chapter 9, Text 43, Sarva Veda Mayenedam Atmanatmana Yogina, Atmana Atma Yogina, Prajasrijya Yatha Purvam, Yasya Chame Anuserate. So Lord has explained him, or instructed him to do this service, right? By following my instructions, you can generate the living entities as before. By dint of your complete Vedic wisdom and the body you have directly received from me, the supreme cause of everything. So he's saying, my instructions, by following my instructions, you can now generate the living entities as before. So he's saying that Prajaha Srija. So he gave that service to Brahmaji. To just follow that instruction, he had to go through so many things. What is he going through? Dissatisfaction, disrespect, disturbed, distracted, and now deficient. He sees that all these things are the obstacles in his creation. Everything was uh, obstructing him to perform his duty properly, right? But he still continued because that is a service he got from the Lord. If you see, Lord Hanuman, when Hanumanji was asked to look for Sita, the one instruction he got was find Sita, go to the south direction and find Sita. He was not given like a map, or he was not given any kind of other instructions. So that service attitude, he just took it and he started with other vanaras. Hanumanji went towards south. There were many obstacles in between, but eventually he reached the ocean, the shore of the ocean in the south. If you take from there also, he was stopped by Mainaka emotionally, because Mainaka wanted to have an invite Hanumanji. So he was stopped by emotionally he was stopped, but Hanumanji didn't get distracted. And then Surasa stopped him to test, because so there are to test, but then he tricks her and he moves forward. Then Lankini stops at Lanka. There are many things happened, but I'm just taking few of the incidents which were obstructed, or which were the obstacles in the path of service to Lord Sri Ram. So he was doing all these obstacles were coming one another. Once he entered the Lanka, he saw like many females, like many princesses. He could not recognize. He had never seen Sita Devi. So these challenges, when you take up a service, the challenges will come up. But the only thing which kept them moving was their service attitude, was their commitment. They had committed for the service provided by committed for the service they have taken up. So what we can learn from here is Brahmaji, even though he was distracted, dissatisfied, deficient, and disrespected, he was still continuing his ways. He was still continuing to perform his service. So that is what we have to learn here. In the similar way, Srila Prabhupada, he got only one service, one instruction from his guru, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He got instruction that you know English, so please try to preach in Western countries, so to the Western people, to the Western countries. Prabhupada took it to the heart, and there were many. This instruction was given long before when he was a grihastha, right? Then Prabhupada adapted, or he took up that service, or took up that instruction as a service for his guru, and he left grihastha life. He entered the sannyasa order of life, and he was in Radha Damodar temple for 6 years. Then while he was there, he was writing and Srimad Bhagavatam purports and everything. He was training himself in English. He was training. Once he was asked to give a class, I heard in one of the classes, then Srila Prabhupada gave a class in English. The audience were not English speaking there, but still he preferred to give a class in English, because he was preparing for that. He was preparing for the next upcoming project, whatever he wanted to do. So that way we all know that he came in a cargo ship. He survived a cardiac arrest and all those things. So when a service is given, it is not, when you take up, we have to take up with commitment. So it is not easy. It is not something which we can just take up and give up. No, if a service is given, we have to take up that service and complete it to the fullest. there may be obstacles, right? It doesn't mean that if you have to complete it fullest, doesn't mean that you do it anything whimsically. We should go back, check, check from the authorities who have given that service, find out how we can perform it better, and all those details, but not in the similar way, Brahmaji, whenever he was when he created Kumaras and Kumaras disrespected him, he was fine. The moment when he was dissatisfied with the creation of anarthas, those 5 anarthas, he went in and he started meditation. So that's why we go back and think about the Lord, then you get the instruction and he performed his duty. So that is that for today. We have seen 4 verses. Mainly we have talked about the service attitude of Brahmaji. Okay, thank you. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you, Hare Krishna Prabhu. We'd like to wish everybody a safe and Krishna conscious day ahead. And we'd like to pray to the Supreme Lord by chanting 3 times. Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare.
Jai Narsingha,
Jai Narsingha, Jai Narsingha, Jai Jai Narsingha Deva, Praladesha, Jai Padma, Mukha Padma, Bringa, Ugram Viram Mahavishnu, Jalantam Sarvotam Mukham, Narsingam Bhishanam Dadam, Mrityum Namami Ham.
Bhagwan ki jai, Prahlad Maharaj ki jai. Let us offer our humble obeisances to all the assembled. Vancha
Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo
Namo Namaha.
Vaishnavinda ki jai.
Grantha
Srimad Bhagavatam ki
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada
ki
ki
jai.
Gaur Premanande.
Ibo.
Thank you, Hari Kishore Prabhuji.
Thank you, Hari Kishore
Thank you,
Prabhu.
Hari Kishore Prabhu.
Hare
Thank you,
Krishna,
everybody.
Hare Krishna,
Ibo.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna.